Hello, welcome to Built at Blackjack's. Trying to get on with this GT550 drop seat bobbler thing. The next thing we'll attend to is the electrics. Oh no, everybody's run away in horror now. Come back, sit down. I'm not talking about the wiring, I'm talking about the electrics, okay? Obviously the thing needs a battery. So when it left the factory with one of these, which is a YB12A. YB12A does not fit anymore. You could probably take the seat off, drop it in from the top, but then you've got to take the seat off every time you want to get the battery, and it's a lot of hassle, and it takes up a lot of space. Battery technology having moved on, we've now got this, which is, well, if it was a UAZO, it'd be a YTX10. I can put that in that way around because this is a factory sealed one. And it quite happily fits in the space provided, and will even nestle between the throne tubes and sit behind the cards, which is quite groovy. So we're going to make some sort of box to go in there, and that's going to accommodate the battery, and it's also got to accommodate some other stuff. But what other stuff does it need to accommodate? There is. Start solenoid is what is basically a switch that when you put power down here activates a magnet in there, joins these two terminals together and turns the starter motor on. So that wants to go in there. A regulator rectifier, so that's got to go in there as well. Stop it all blowing up and a little smoke coming out. Some sort of a fuse box would be good, not necessarily this one, but that's got to go in there as well. None of it's any good if it doesn't go. This is the igniter. You can tell it's the igniter because it's got a label on it that says igniter. Take the plug because otherwise it's not easy to connect to the box. That's got to go in there as well. These don't necessarily have to go in there, but they're going to be quite handy. They're the ignition cords. They could live in a box of their own up there, or if there's room, they can live in there. We'll see about that. This here is the flasher relay for the indicators. It's going in there as well. Laws in England, if it's after the 1st of April, 1st of August 1986, it needs indicators. This is after the 1st of August 1986, it needs indicators. Whether you choose to use them or not is up to you, so I'm going to wire it with indicators. Now, problematically, I've got a few other things left on this loop. This is the starter solenoid relay, which is frankly a waste of time. There was, probably there. A black box which turned out to be the self-cancelling indicators. We're not having self-cancelling indicators, so I threw that away. I would really like to have had it and gone, this is the self-cancelling indicator relay, throw it away, but I've already thrown it away and I can't find it. So that's what we need to find the homes for. So before we start making the box, the first thing to do is work out what we want to put in it. You know, it makes sense. There's a couple of other things to go down as well. Rule of thumb, I would like to put the ignition switch down there, because it saves running a wire from there all the way up to there, then all the way back down to there, because you don't need to do that, just put the switch there. Makes a lot of sense. Same with the lights on and off switch, that can go under the seat as well. And that fuse box, we're going to chuck that away. Probably going to chuck that indicator relay away. I will use the relay on this for the headlights because of the cheapy, nasty Japanese switches, not Japanese, Chinese switches I use. And they're quite handy anyway. Might use another one for the horn actually, because we've got to have a horn. And those switches come with such thin wire that it's just kind of, I'm really worried it's going to melt one of these days. But it can work a relay. So there's a couple more things to go in there, but we need to think about making the box. Right, well we're going to go with carbureted design for this. So it wants to be, alright, and that's 7.5 inches with a maximum width of 10. And this bit wants to be 7. And it needs to come back 3. Did you get that? 7.5 by 10. If you can see that, the front corners don't want to go in. Right, I can take a look at that and I can go, that really wants to go about there and that wants to go about there. And then, assuming I brought a tape measure over with me, guess what, didn't. I can do that in that space and go up the corner up to right there. That one there. Special pair of right-handed scissors for left-handed people. Oh, cramping my hand now. A bit more out of there. Origami battery boxes. It's not quite happy, is it? No. That one's a bit off the front. There we go, look. That all sits in there quite nicely now. Who would have thought it? It's going to be a struggle to make this box, and I'm going to have to think about it in a minute, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, look at that. Making it a box is going to be a bit ridiculous because it's not going to fit in there. So what I'll probably do is make a shelf out of this piece, and then 3 panels, 2 side panels and 1 for the front. Because the straight edge across where I wanted to bend would have helped if I'd done the bolts for the tank up, and then I could just pull the card up like that. Do the same on the other side. Sits in there like it was like the thing that we made to go there was made for where it went. How about that? Okay, so I've taken the cardboard template that I made for the low shelf, turned it into a metal one. I want to bolt, I don't know, what's that called? That reg rack underneath, so if I bolt it on there, the bolts are going to stick up through the shelf. So what I want is dimple like that for each of these holes. Some time ago, I cut out 3 squares a quarter, hole-sawed that piece out. I think this is from a different size hole, slightly smaller size hole saw. Radius that edge on there, put a pin in the middle, and I clamp all that up and dimple it. So I'm going to get on and do that now. Okay, so this makes the dimple, so that goes on the inside because we want the dimple on the inside. That backs it up. Luckily it's just enough room now to clear the other one. And there we go. 2 dimples, which now like in the follow the wind should line up with the reg rack. So that will bolt there now. Bolts, heads of the bolts sitting there. Batteries going here, so they won't wear a hole in the battery. Hurrah! Right, so I've made this 1 dimple for this. I made a couple of tags to hold the rubber in place, and the idea is that these tags have to be welded on because I can't get the dimple thing in close enough to the edge. So I've drilled them and bolted them, and I can take it all apart without disturbing the brackets, and hopefully weld them on without melting the rubber bit, which was the whole point of that. Right, so there we go. brackets welded on the bottom. If we get that power brush on that, sort that out, I suppose. Lush, as they say. So that's the bottom of the battery box. Well, it's not really a box, it's just, this is going to be the battery shelf, we'll decide to call it from now on. So the battery's going to live there. All these bolts are now out of the way. That might be handy. I could have left them bolted on looking at that. But you didn't know that at the time, did you? Well, you didn't, I did. Well, I didn't either. In fact, nobody did. Who knew the secret of the Black Magic box? It's not really an electrics box. The thing is, if you make a box, so I made a box, it'd have to come in and out of this space here. And let's see if I can wind this out a bit. There we go. Yeah. So, because I'm making a shelf, I've gained that much there, and 2 inches at the front. So then when the front's bolted on, because it won't go in and out of the gap in one piece, then that'll all look okay. A couple of side panels, and yeah, something like it. Okay, time to go home. I made this. It's not very complicated. We'll deal with the rust in a minute. Goes in there. It's got the notch in the top to clear the mudguard stay. One-handedly. It's a bit of a fiddle. So the idea now is just tack those 2 tags on, drill the base, and then those 2 bits can be bolted together, and that's something like the back. And then I don't know what we'll do about the front yet, but it needs bolted onto something. Okay, so that's all fitted in there now. That's pretty rigid. You could barely make it out, but what I did was bolted a couple of brackets to the bottom, left them sticking out, and I've welded them to that cross tube. So that's supported the bottom of it, and it's all, you can shake the bike about by it now. The next issue I got is making a closing panel for the front. Go there behind the carburetors, and I think I'm going to make that out of something shiny. So that's going to be really silly. See if we can make that fit in there with one hand. Put it right there like that. Now what do you know? I'll be buggered. There you go. It is possible, I think. So a couple of holes through there. Just bolt these 2 together. Trim those ears off a bit. Where they're poking out from behind the frame. Piece of stripe across the top there, right? A little bit far to the back to go yet, but it'll fit eventually. This is a bit of a fiddle put together, but the advantages are, I don't know why that hole's there. The advantages are that basically, because it's all bolted on panels, there's a certain amount of adjustment. So if you make a box and you weld it up, there's this distortion and it doesn't fit, you're knackered. If you make bolt on panels, you may have to open a hole out somewhere, but it's going to go. And again, like I said, if it was a box, all the space there and quite a bit of this would be lost to the fact you've got to get it in through that hole. So this is like the more complicated, easy approach, if you like. I think it's a good way to go about it. Have a more complicated, easy approach. So I drilled the shelf, I drilled the front piece. Front piece is bolted on. Not madly happy with it because the bolt's too close to the engine. But with some short bolts, it'll probably be good. Took the cardboard template from there, cut out a piece of aluminium, kind of offered it up, and basically whooshed it about with a big hammer. so it's very nearly fitted. So the next thing I'm going to do now is make, well, that's going to take long, a strap across there, bandsaw bracket to go here, and probably another strap across there to give me 3 fixing points. I made this, basically started off with a piece of cardboard, sketched out, it was like a mark here and a mark there, and it was about where I wanted it to end. Flopped the cardboard in there, got it round to the shape, this, tapped it around in a vise, and hold on. There, it's not a bad fit. So that's going to live there. Then when the aluminium panel goes on, I can drill tap a hole in the gusset to secure the panel. The panel still needs trimming up, but basically stuff like this, you're better off getting it to shape with it too big. Right, do some welding now then. So that's got all that in there, the panels go on. It's just going to live here in a minute, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet. But basically, this lead on the solenoid goes onto the battery, and that powers this up. I'll take a lead off of there, run it down underneath all this lot around here to the starter motor. Then these two wires, one of them takes the power in from the DC output from the Regrec, which is hiding underneath the tray. The other one comes around here to this fuse box, goes across the top, that's the main fuse, comes there to the switch. Off the other side of the switch, come down 3 wires to power these up. That gives me my ignition feed, my lights feed, and my main accessory feed, which will do the indicator relay, the brake lights front and rear, and the horn. Obviously lights power goes up front, ignition power goes underneath to power the ignition box, and we're 2/3 of the way home at that point. So the point about it is that you've got to find somewhere to mount all this stuff before you start wiring it. Quite a long time before you start wiring it. So there we go. Right, oh yeah, other thing. I'm going to put the coils under the tank here. So the next video I'll probably be making a coil box. And on that note, I think that's probably enough for this video. So take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.